Hey guys, I'm Lorenas from Whatagraph's product team, and today I'll show you a couple of ways how to use Whatagraph for monitoring your agency performance. And what I have for you today is 3 different scenarios that you can hopefully relate to and make a use of inside Whatagraph and adds to your workflow. So the first scenario is rather simple. Imagine having to aggregate data from various different PPC channels. So you want to aggregate them together. In my example, I'll show you aggregating 3 different sources, but it can be hundreds, if not even thousands of data sources if you really wanted to, right? So what I'm looking at right now is individually data coming from each one of those sources. Then I also even have, multiple currents attached to those different data sources that are different, which is not ideal, but it's not something that you at all need to worry about, right? So the efficient way for you to proceed is go into organize, and you can create a source group. And what you will be doing is you will be aggregating the data there. So give it a name that you can recognize it by, and select the channels that you want to be a part of it, such as Google and Facebook. The cool part, once you select the channels, is you can preview what dimensions and metrics they share in common. Again, we do the hard work for you here. You don't need to map those metrics and dimensions. They're already pre-mapped for you. You just need to use them. And then you can either select all of the channels at once or individually select the ones that you're after. And we have the option to add the data sources now. And you remember we had multiple currencies. Not something you need to worry about. Just select the currency you would like to report on from that source group and we'll handle the rest. So once you click on create, it will take a few minutes for the data to be stored, but once stored, you can so we'll do the data management part for you. This is nothing you need to worry about. The only thing you need to worry about is creating a neat looking overview that, for example, breaks it down by campaign or channel, anything of that sort, just to make it easier for you. And you can also see that we have some visualization options on the column level added, just to make it a bit more actionable and draw your attention to specific metrics that are perhaps not performing, right? Or you can go back into the same report we're at earlier and simply add the source group as a data source, as we have in here. And once you select a type of chart that you want to be a part of your report, select that, add it onto the report, and select some of the metrics that you would like to track. Once again, the metrics are already pre-mapped, so whatever you select will handle the data management part for you. So all you need to do is just look at the numbers and make some insights. This is a good time for us to go into the second scenario. And I understand that if you're looking at tens, maybe hundreds of different campaigns, reading through all of them can be a bit of a cognitive overload. In other words, imagine if your campaigns are difficult to read and process, just like in my example, nothing good will come out of it. So to solve this, we can create a custom dimension to simplify them. And as you can see in my example, the names are slightly confusing. So whether you're inside an overview or a report, you can use our organized capabilities to solve that need. And this would allow for you to seamlessly integrate your custom groups anywhere, right? So it's the same custom group that we just saw in the first scenario. So we can click on create new dimension, and mind you, this will work exactly the same in reports and overview. So it can be named as something like campaigns simplified. And then there's different rule types. But in this instance, in this scenario, let's focus on condition. And we'll tell to Whatagraph for this source group that whenever campaign name contains recruitment, for example, then those are recruitment campaigns. So no matter how many of them there were, based on that specific rule I've just set, they will be aggregated and grouped together, the results as well. Then we can replicate the same rule and say whenever it contains HD, that is awareness. So I know that all of you most likely have some type of naming convention. Sometimes they have abbreviations, sometimes they're really confusing, but this will work regardless. And let's say whenever it doesn't contain any of the two that I've just inputted, that we'll call others. And I create this group, and I can basically select it as a dimension for me to break down the data by. So that I'll just only keep one dimension in there. And you'll see not hundreds, but just 3 different groups, right? And as you can see, there's recruitment, awareness, and others. So we're basically grouping the data from different campaigns into one piece, just making them a lot more easier to digest for yourself and potentially the end reader of the report. And mind you, there's parity with reports and overview, so you can do that exact process in both. But I wanted to showcase the overview capabilities as well, so I've used overview for this example. So for the third scenario, I would like to build on top of what we already created for scenarios 1 and 2. So imagine that you need more breakdown options aside from campaigns, channel name, source name, something custom, right? And imagine that you have multiple categories of clients that you work with. And what you're able to do is go into data source management space and type in the name of your client. So let's say Whatagraph. No surprises there, right? That's a client I'll work with, that's my employer. And then I can actually tag those sources and select them, and I can click on Assign Tags. That will allow me to create a new tag, such as client types. So once again, imagine I'm working with multiple client types, and that is just one type of client that I want to tag. So I perhaps work with IT clients, catering clients, and automotive clients, right? Those are the possible values. I create a tag, and I still have them selected, and I can assign them in bulk, so you don't have to go one by one and do this every single time. I have it saved, and now all of my clients, so that specific client of mine is actually tagged. And if there's a different layer, so maybe it's an IT client that belongs to a specific region, so you can also create another tag such as region. And the possible values, for example, could be Europe, USA, or anything of that nature, right? And you can reuse those tags and use them as further breakdown options later on and have them selected. So it would work like this. And then what we're able to do is we can further break the data down by those things inside our overview, right? So I've already created an overview based off this, and what it's doing is actually splitting all of my client portfolio into cater clients, IT clients, and automotive clients, giving you the bird's eye overview into an aggregate data from multiple different client categories that you work with. Perhaps you might want to use this for internal analysis or when pitching your services to your external clients, and so on. With the 3 scenarios out of the way now, let's just do a small refresher of how it all fits together and how Whatagraph functions as a platform as a whole. So the point I'm making here is that Whatagraph has made some drastic changes to go into the route of marketing intelligence and help you digest large volumes of data in easier to understand and digest chunks, and just taking the manual hassle out of the process as much as possible. So we can start the data source management space, which lists out all the different channels and sources you have connected, the tags they have assigned, folders they're assigned, currency, status, and even where they're currently used, so you can clean them up if needed. And you can use the filters at the top to quickly find what you're after. Then we can go into reports, where we have all of the visualizations that you've created for external sharing or even internal digestion, if that is something that you've created in the past. And all the folders, naturally, as well, right? Then we've got overview, which actually allows you to get a bird's eye overview of your data. And as you saw in the scenarios, you can break the data down by something that makes sense specifically for you, whether it's a custom dimension created by yourself or custom dimensions that we've already created for you, right? And naturally, if you have a need, you can go ahead and transfer your data into external destinations that include either BigQuery or Google Looker Studio if you wanted to use that data outside of Whatagraph. But let's focus on organize for now, just to refresh what I've mentioned in the scenarios earlier. So we've got sources, which effectively allows you to create blended data sources and source group. The main difference between them is that source groups allow you to aggregate data easily from channels that belong together, such as PPC, social media. And blends, aside from the source groups, are slightly different, but they allow you to blend data that doesn't naturally belong together in the same category, such as Google Analytics and Meta Ads, for example. So if you just wanted to bring that data together, display it in one table, that is something that you're capable of doing, right? Then we can go into dimensions. So there's multiple different types of dimensions that you have the option to create. So I won't go into too much detail, but you can unify names because, as you know, the same dimension might exist for different channels, but it might have a slightly different name, and you want to bring it together. So that is something you can do with unify names. Condition is something we explored in one of the scenarios, is you tell Whatagraph when something equals something, then please group it to something. And then we've also got custom tags, which is something we've created inside data source management space, but you can also create it here, but it allows you to assign data sources and get a sort of hierarchy set out for your entire account, making your life slightly easier as a digital marketer, hopefully. And then we've got metrics that you can create inside the organized space. So unify names, in very short, is you can, so once again, different channels might have different naming conventions for the same metric. So if they mean the exact same thing and we haven't pre-mapped it for you, you can do exactly that if there's a specific edge use case, or you can create a custom formula. The cool part about the custom formula here is that once updated, it will update everywhere where it's being used. So agency margins that you might want to add, and it suddenly changes. So you can reuse that formula anywhere you want, and it's a whole lot quicker and actually scalable. So just to finish this off, what I would like to leave you with is that you have the option to have multiple overviews created, and you can explore different ways how to break your data down by. But most importantly, if there's something that doesn't seem to work, but you're actually really keen to visualize, and I haven't explored in my scenarios, please let us know in the live chat, and I think we can definitely set the path for making that possible, and perhaps it's just sitting down and figuring out how to do that. But I hope that you were hopefully able to resonate with some of the user pains that I've addressed in this video, and yeah, let us know if you have any questions. We're literally just a live chat away at all times. Have a good one. Bye.